Hello everyone, welcome to Reclaim with Mark and Sarah podcast, and as always we are very excited to share with you all the incredible things that we can give you to heal, reclaim your life after narcissistic abuse. And today we have someone very special and a guest that we are very excited to have because this topic is so important in the healing journey. We have our guest Ashley Velvet Frost, and we are very, very excited because we're going to talk about anger, release, emotions. And we found Mark and I with our client that it's one of the biggest part of your reclamation, because if you don't allow yourself to feel the emotions, the anger, and there is a lot of shame around these emotions, your healing cannot actually start at all because you haven't felt all the things that you suppressed because of the trauma. So Ashley, thank you to be here.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm very curious to talk about this nuanced side of the anger and emotional release as well. It's a first for me as well.
Beautiful. Would you like to introduce yourself a little bit and share who you are with our audience so they know who you are before we begin to talk about whatever is gonna come up?
Yeah, fully. I feel like a lot has shifted probably since the last time I did a podcast. I started my journey into emotional release and healing through having a burnout, emotional, physical burnout from the corporate world when I was 26, 27. So I didn't last very long in that industry before burning out.
Yeah.
And I was just very, very physically ill, very tired, had chronic fatigue really badly for 2 years. I was hardly able to get out of bed. And I just tried the journey of trying to understand, like, how do I get better? Like, not just how do I thrive, like, how do I actually leave the house and can survive? And of course, like, I tried all the physiological routes of like doctors, supplements, testing, and still nothing was really getting to the root cause. So then I started going into the holistic world. And at some point on that journey, I tried everything, and I got like ice showers, breath work, family constellation, money, coaches, like, what is it that's causing my body to be so tired? And then I really came down to emotions. And it was emotions, something I didn't understand. I wasn't taught really how to handle emotions growing up. And I realized that I was really overwhelmed by my emotions, especially of sadness, very, very sad, like most of my young adulthood.
Yeah.
So I found this training in Hamburg, which is the city I grew up in, even though I'm British. And it was in the middle of COVID, and I just like had to sneak my way into Germany and like go to this training. And that was nearly 5 years ago now. And that's very crazy how much has shifted, because since then I started working for my teacher. We traveled with the whole company around the world, training people. I was running the company from the business side and finding my own feet with my own emotional core wound, which more and more was becoming apparent was anger. Yeah, that's probably also how you guys found me, through now, like I've niched very, very hard into a topic that not many people want to niche into because they see it as a very triggering topic. And for me, I find it so liberating. And now I have my own emotional release academy and hosting anger retreats and guiding people one-on-one, guiding groups into the alchemy of emotions and how to make friends with them, how to feel peaceful with them again as well. Which I imagine for a lot of your listeners with coming out of abuse situations, it's very hard to feel forgiveness and to find peace and clarity and to move through a lot of the anger and self-blame. Or there's so many topic directions we can take with this conversation.
I love everything that you share, and I definitely relate with so many things, like especially when you say like your burnout after being corporate. I did burnout in my business at the start of my previous business before the one that I have now with Mark, and I can relate with the part of trying everything but nothing really clicked, like nothing really moved you to really feel that liberation and the sense of peace that we all want to feel, right? And for me, was my core wound was my abuse, my emotions, my anger, and very similar. So even if in different contexts, but I can relate with this, and I'm sure so many people can relate, especially after you coming out from a narcissistic abuse. There's a lot of anger that definitely need to come out in order to become the person that you always were meant to be, who you truly are. There's been like kind of destroyed by the abuse, because you becoming this different version of you that is just surviving. You survive and making sure you stay safe during those abusive, toxic relationship. And Mark, there is anything that you want to say or before we start? Because I have already something that I want to ask Ashley coming up straight away.
Something was flying. Who was that guy that you seen on the content that said like your biggest wound is your niche?
Yes. Yes, Nakuto, I think his name is Nakuto.
Yeah, and that reminds me like when Ashley was flying, like your biggest wound is your niche. And it's always something that you avoid as well. And like I know we're going to get into both our experiences, but for me, it was my childhood and I used to suppress my anger. And it wasn't until like a couple of years ago to actually allow myself to feel that anger and to let it out and realize like your pain is your pathway as well. Like when you actually go deeper into that feeling of instead of avoiding it, then it becomes like a catalyst for you to really free yourself and actually help others. And that's been our experience. And I know Ashley will go deeper into that. But that's something I wanted to share to start with. It's like the things that we're avoiding are the things that are actually like that we need to face. They're the things that have been planted there for us to really awaken and to realize ourselves.
Yes, absolutely. Like your wound is something that if you decide to go into the path of helping others, it's definitely your voice, it's your expression, it's how you're attracting people that have been where you were before. And I find it very empowering. You know, when you will never be able to understand something if you didn't live it fully. Like years ago, I couldn't teach about narcissistic abuse because I was not aware that I was sexually abused as a child. So if you don't know, you can't really help people with that. So it's beautiful that we experience it and then we learn from it, we heal ourselves, and then we give to other people what we know that helped us to help them as well. But okay, first of all, I'm a big fan of your content. So I really love your content so much and the energy behind, but more than that, like the message that you send about how important is the anger, release the anger. And I would like to talk about this because for myself and for Mark, but also for so many clients and people that are listening, usually the person that is abused by a narcissist is an empath, okay? So we tend to be compassionate, understanding, always putting ourselves in the shoes of the other person, and we kind of put us last. So of course, anger is very, very common that an empath doesn't know how to express anger. At least in my experience, also with working with clients, I never had one client say, oh yeah, I know how to release anger. Like, yeah, easy for me to do it. So I would like to talk about this with you, Ashley, because that's what you do. That's something that helped you to find so much freedom. And I know there is a lot of shame around anger. I don't want to, scream. I don't want to do this, or I don't want to take this out because who I'm going to be after. Like for me, the biggest fear was who I'm going to be. Like, I'm going to recognize myself. I'm going to like this version of myself. There was a lot of fear into that sense of not recognizing myself, and also to be like my own mother, which is, she has been the one that has been abused me as well, right? Like the fear of I am like her. And I know that many people can relate. So what can you say, Ashley, about your journey and also the things that you know and you do with your client regarding this topic? And I know it's a big topic, but you will flow with whatever comes.
Yeah, it is. There's many nuances in here. I think the first part I want to start with the emotions is the fundament of emotional release work. Even though we say the word releases inside it, it's actually more about harmonizing and making friends with these emotions. So you've mentioned many there. There's been anger, shame, fear. So when these are arising in sessions and retreats, it's really about how can I welcome this feeling and understand it more, and like receive the message that it's trying to tell me and then do something about it. Because lots of therapy gets to like halfway of that point of like meeting the parts, doing the inner dialogues, the discussions, but the body has not yet processed through the actual somatic, the charge of what is there. So for a lot of this, for people coming out of abuse situations, anger won't be the first thing that comes up. Because what's required is first like deep safety, rewiring of the nervous system, the ability to feel safe with going inside, with looking at these parts, with moving the body gently. So even though a lot of people see that my work is very big and cathartic, that's probably like two minutes of a session. Like it's really the crescendo point of a session. And so much of it is like reparenting the inner child and really taking it so slow. Because if someone's come from abuse, they've already gone through an abusive environment where someone has had a power dynamic and someone's been making them do things against their will or has been inflicting hierarchy, etc., on them. And as a therapist, like that would just be perpetuating the same dynamic. So it's okay if it's taking a really long time for anger.
I love that.
Like really, like it's not, even at the retreats I do, I have a women's anger retreat coming up, and we only do anger on day 3. Even though it's actually an anger retreat. And the moving out of it's a very big word to say victimhood, but I say that word because it's necessary. Like there is a frequency that many people try to bypass when they're trying to heal, which is like I don't want to be a victim. I want to be empowered already. I want to heal already. I want to be past this. I want to forgive. I want to let go. And it's like, well, you're trying to skip past also the helplessness and the sadness and the grief and the hurt, which also really needs its place. And for me personally, I was in that stage for maybe 9 months. I had to sit in that frequency. And sometimes that was very intense, but only then could I start to find authentic anger, authentic power, authentic confidence, this feeling of like, okay, like it's landing in my body now, as opposed to trying to fake it. Awesome.
Well,
I love you both like nodding.
Like it is like it's just literally like that's why I messaged you, because it's not like, you know, you follow, like you look into people that have the same beliefs as you, like that's what we value so much. It's not just about the educational part, but it's the belief that the person carry. And you talk a lot about, I think I'm gonna go there.
Go.
You already know where I'm going.
Go all the way.
You talk about a lot about the spiritual bypassing. And that were like the content that really for me were like, yes, I want to contact this woman because this is it, and we need more people talking about this, because especially in our industry we're working in, narcissism is a lot in the spiritual world. I think the biggest part of abusive relationship and coaching as well, if you want to talk about the niche, is in the spiritual world. So when I saw your content, I felt like, yeah, this is it, because you can't forgive. I remember someone told us, you need to find the way to forgive. And no, wait, not yet. Like we need to go through a lot of phases, and honestly, we haven't got to that point yet. We haven't forgive yet. It will come, maybe in years, in never, I don't know. But we have to go through the phases, because the healing has 8 stages. And I actually want to ask you about this, because I know that's what you believe as well, because you're talking about the spiritual bypassing a lot in your content. And I think I want to touch this with you, knowing what are your beliefs, like why are you talking about this, what is so important for you, and how this helped you and also your client as well. Because it's such an invalidating thing to say to someone that has been abused or has been going through trauma. You have to find a way to forgive and let it go. It's such an invalidating experience, and I would love to know like how you approach this and your beliefs around it.
Yeah, thank you for explaining that. Like the spiritual bypassing, it's a project I do with my 2 other co-founders. We have the podcast together as well. And shout out also, because those posts, my best friend Tim, who's on the podcast, he makes those ones, and like they're just spot on. Like I'm not going to take full credit for all of the amazing content that he's written, but we just got really fucking fed up and bored of being in spiritual spaces. And I say spiritual, I mean new age spirituality. And it's not always spiritual bypassing. It's also often like emotional bypassing is also happening. Like it's a very, very Scorpio thing of me to say, like, I prefer to go into the darkness and to like alchemize and to not just be in the joy. And my biggest teacher is the joy, to also come back to light and to integrate that. So I've also gained so much beauty. Like I practice Kundalini yoga. I don't personally view that as new age spiritual. Like I think that's been around for a very long time, and I get so many lessons and gifts from different practices. But what I wasn't enjoying seeing in my travels around the world and to all these different hubs was the inconsistency of preaching one thing and embodying something else. So preaching unity and love and we're all one, and then backstabbing, gossiping, harming the environment, harming each other, not really being in a community feeling that you would assume is there if there's conscious communication and shadow work happening.
Yeah.
And I just spotted that happening in many places. I went to Bali, I was in LA, I was in Tulum, I was in Ibiza. Like I couldn't land in any of these spaces, even though it's supposedly in the same field, same community of people who believe the same things as me. And yeah, I was just starting to see it as a charade. And you can go to a cacao ceremony in any part of the world, and it's probably the same words are being said, and probably following a particular routine and structure, almost like it's a religion. It's become a religion.
Yes.
It has costumes, it has rules. If you don't confine to those rules, you're not part of the group. But the costumes now are like Burning Man costumes and things that people wear in Ibiza. And I sometimes just miss the down-to-earthness that came with some older religion, like that actually is just simplicity. Like me and Tim and Janik always joke, like level 2 spirituality is just like a cigarette and an espresso. Like I'm done with the crystals. I love crystals, don't get me wrong, I have them in my house, but I've done with like outsourcing my needs to these like external objects and things like this.
I love that.
For me to feel whole. And coming back to the simplicity of like nature, of routine, of just being present has been huge. And that requires doing shadow work of both light and dark. And when the uncomfortable emotions want to be there, then letting them be there and not gaslighting someone into telling them like that. It just really angers me. Like I've also been around many toxic teachers and spaces and worked for one, and I just see such a clash of values of my personal values of what is respectful towards students and the lines that shouldn't be crossed. And I've witnessed them being crossed many times, and the manipulation of power, money, sex, and then was just done with it.
Yeah, totally agree. Agree with all of that. It's it's very important, especially when we talk about emotion, trauma, and releasing that. Everyone is in their own journey, and some people maybe need more time. Some people maybe have to go through the anger release, which, like you say, is slow. It doesn't happen, boom, like that. Of course, like if you go into a retreat with someone that is an expert like you touch a certain point to create the space for them to release it and to arrive at that point that they take it out. But it's a process, and this spiritual bypassing create like another invalidation on top of the invalidation that the person already experienced. And it's very common, so it's good to see like more people talking about it. That's what I believe.
I think so too. And I think actually like something we could sort of flow into now would be like, I guess if someone is just first finding out about like this awareness of my emotions and I needing to feel it, and like they get guided to you, what would be like the process that you would take them through once they're aware that they need to actually start releasing the anger, feeling the emotions? Like how would that journey sort of unfold for them if they were to like land into your path?
Yeah, well, I'm working a lot, mostly with doing sessions with people, so in person, online. And the work of an emotional release session is psychosomatic body work. So even if it's through Zoom, you're being guided into your deep subconscious. So it feels like sometimes like a hypnosis, sometimes like a really crazy journey that you go on. Like people always come out of it and ask me like, did I spike their drink, or like did I give them psychedelics? I'm like, nope, that was all you. And they're like, holy shit, okay. It's very similar in some part to somatic experiencing, about like going and noticing sensations, like the communication between the mind and the body, like the physical body, the sensations that come in your shoulder and your toes and the tingling, tension, pain. This is all the body communicating, but we never got taught how to listen. We got taught that pain is bad, so therefore I shouldn't want it there and should want it to go away, when in reality it's something that's trying to tell you something.
Yes.
So that's the first part of like really taking the time to go inwards and notice what is there. And where the work that I do with my team, where it's different to somatic experiencing, is because we are not catharsis afraid. So we strongly believe that if it's authentic, if it really feels like that's what the client is moving into organically, and not that by being forced, but that it's like you feel this wave and momentum slowly building, that then you guide them into a release. into whether that's through sound, through movements, through, as you see, sometimes we're working with pillows, yelling into them, silent screams. The body does it. Like, I don't tell them how to release, but we're not afraid of it, because we really trust that the body is so intelligent. And like, when you really give it space to fully be in loving witnessing presence, then all these parts that got really relegated into the shadows, which could be the shameful one, the angry one, the sexual one, it could be the victim one, like, they all get a space to come up. And we work with, you can almost call it emotional theatrics, like really to bring this up and out, because once it's come up, it's not going to come back again. It's like, it really, that's when this release concept comes through, because it's finished. And so I know you've said like, oh, I don't know if I can feel forgiveness in the next month, year, but like, it could be tomorrow.
It could be tomorrow.
It really, like, it can really be so fast that suddenly there's space inside, and you're like, oh, wow, okay. And that's how most people feel after these sorts of sessions. They're obviously maybe a bit tired because they've just like moved through a lot of energy, but they all say like, I feel lighter. I feel like I'm carrying less with me. And that's what we're really releasing. It's like these unhealthy ties, these old patterns, old attachments. And and all that through without taking any drugs, which is great.
Which is, I love it. I love it because the body is very powerful. Like if you are in the right environment and with the right guidance, you can release so much without going like anywhere or doing crazy things. And I love what you say about the simplicity, because I feel that sometimes is healing and this process is very complicated. It doesn't have to be complicated. I have to go there, I have to bring this, I have to take the medicine, I have to do that. No, it doesn't have to be like that. It can be very simple and very powerful just by using your body and trusting your body, what your body is ready to see. And for example, I'm curious do you have any other something coming up? Because I want to ask you something. I'm curious. I'm thinking about like the person, like our audience is gonna listen to this one, right? Like they have been in narcissistic abusive relationship of any kind, like can be romantic, can be friends, boss, client, parents, can be any of it. And something that I know has a pattern also for us, but also for our client, is the unsafety. Like there is a lot of unsafety in the body to release the emotions, to actually, like what we see a lot is they completely go into freeze mode with the nervous system. Like
that's what I used to do.
Yes, exactly. Because of course there is fear of punishment, fear like anticipation, fear of what is going to happen now if I'm doing this, if I'm speaking up. Like if I can tell you like one thing that is the biggest challenge for most of them is, for example, say no, set the boundaries. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to entertain this anymore. I don't want you in my life anymore. Like there is a lot of trauma bonding with the abuser as well. Like for example, if you can say something to them, what would you say to help them to create? Because I know that the safety is something that you have to create in order to set the boundaries, say no, and start to express. Because until they are still connected with the abuser, there is no space for healing, because you're still coping. You are in a coping mechanism still, because you're still connecting with them, right? So you're just surviving in that moment. So to create that space, the boundaries, say no, or create space, it's essential for them to start to feel the anger and all the emotion that comes after that. So that's what I would love to know, like your opinion and your expertise on this, because I think can be very helpful.
Yeah, I mean, you've hit it nail on the head. Like you cannot heal in the environment where you were harmed. So first and foremost is creating distance and space, physically and emotionally, from the source of that. Yeah, like whether that's, and that can be hard if it's work, if it's a family member. It doesn't have to be forever. That's also what is sometimes good to remind people. Like it's not a I never want to speak again. It's like I need space.
Exactly.
Like, and I don't know how long that space will be. Because sometimes the phrase like cutting people off, it sounds so dramatic, because it's like I'm totally never having any contact. And at some shape or form, like I have a client right now who had to cut both of her parents off for 2 years. And now she's in a space after having done a lot of work that she's like opening up to like, okay, like this boundary is not a wall. It's simply where showing someone where the door is. Like if you cannot relate with me in a way that is respectful, loving, kind, then that door is closed. But it's not a great wall of China. Like there's always a doorway, because that's also what, for a lot of this relational work with anger, it's not about being right or wrong and getting rid of anger. It's like, how can we come deeper into relationship, deeper into intimacy, and to know really like what we deserve, and the quality of how we want to be treated is
Absolutely.
needs to be upheld. So that's when these boundaries come into place. And I first and foremost, with the safety aspect, if you're working on someone, I fully trust, even no matter how long it takes, that if their body needs to be resting, resourcing, falling asleep, going into this freeze, I fully trust it. I'm never pushing past that, because it could really be like when I had my burnout. So it's not from abuse, but my body was just absolutely shot.
Yeah.
For so many sessions, I would just pass out. I go to acupuncture. I wouldn't even notice her leave the room for the integration point, because I just like gone. So my body just needed deep, deep rest. And I was basically paying people to hold space for my naps, but it was really healing, because my body could finally like rest, and I couldn't rest at my house and things like this. From that side of things, like for the client not to judge the process. Like if they fell asleep, amazing. If they went into freeze and then needed to reset, we work a lot with a term called resourcing. It's also in somatic experiencing, that finding ways to like fill the body up and with light and with love, and really let it feel nourished, and not that we always have to be looking for the thing that's uncomfortable, or like where's the trauma. It's like, what if we also just enjoyed feeling pleasant right now? What if we enjoyed the relaxation?
I love that. We say that all the time.
Like why we're not here to always look for harshness. Like let's also enjoy comfort and relaxation. And that's how most sessions start. It's like really letting the body drop in and to feel held and to feel safe.
Beautiful.
Is very important. And the other point is now eluding my mind. Second.
Same. What did I say?
I don't know.
There was a lot of parts in the question. Right, it was something that was very important.
I was saying about the safety.
Boundaries,
safety.
I got it.
Okay, good.
What I also found with clients who have like abusive parents, and that sometimes when we're doing inner child work, it's too intense to dialogue or be that child in that moment, because it's too close to the experience. And with any abusers, when doing aspecting, when doing dialoguing, I really ask them like, how far away does this person need to be for it to feel safe? Even if it's 100 meters away. But where does it feel like that person can be where you can stay in your own center, and you can stay witnessing this experience, but not be overwhelmed by the intensity of that person's presence? And at the last retreat I did, we do aspecting. It's one of our initiations that we do. Every person does an aspecting that practice in front of the group. So it takes like 5 hours. It's really long. But this person couldn't talk to a person, because normally we pick another participant because it was too much. So we used 2 cushions, and we actually placed them outside of the teepee in the field. That was the far enough distance for them to feel like they could talk with their parents. And when trying to tap people into anger, when doing inner child work, sometimes it's easier to feel anger on behalf of someone else. So say you see like someone kicking a dog, or someone being mean to a kid, then you feel that come up. You're like, that's not right. And so I also get clients to do this in regards to their inner child. Like, how would you feel if you witnessed someone saying that to a little 6-year-old? How would you feel if you saw that happening to another little kid and mom in the street? And then they're like, that wouldn't be okay. It wouldn't be. And then you notice already, just like me copying it, like the body's already tapping into that frequency of something's not right. So even if it's not a full anger release, but anger on behalf of someone else can be a really good entry point into still having some distance from it being all about ourselves as well.
I
love that you said that, actually, because that relates to us. And something's coming to me is like, it was only a couple of months ago when we were down south, and a friend said something and it was directed at me, and then you felt so much anger for that. And it's like, it seems to be so easy for us to feel anger for the ones we love, but how do we then bring that into our own experience and honor ourselves, like our inner child, our own journey? Because it seems to be that is very difficult. No.
It is.
Yeah,
It is.
until it isn't, obviously.
Until it isn't.
Yeah, but I love that you mentioned that, Ashley.
Yeah, and I'd invite that it's really just taking distance. So when we work with emotional release, it's never I am angry or I am sad, I am shamed. It's I'm feeling. Like we really invite to take this distance that the conscious witnessing presence inside of us that's there when we meditate is observing the emotion happening inside of the body, but we are not the emotion.
Exactly.
Because the second that happens, the ego has formed an identity and it becomes very easy to be very offended and to be very,
Absolutely.
I'm so angry. It's like, no, like that is not all of you. It's not your whole being right now. That is a part of you. You're feeling this literally energy moving through your body. That is this anger energy. And you can witness, and that really gives people more flexibility to be like, oh, I can respond to this stimuli and not react to it.
It gives space, doesn't it? Actually, it puts you space between the stimulus and the response.
Exactly.
And then, coming back to you are the one then that's observing these emotions arising in your body. You're the one that gets to witness it, and in that witnessing, that will release it. And it does take, I guess, a bit of work, a bit of conscious effort on your part to come into that place. Like, so what are some of the things that's coming to me now? Actually, is like, what are some of the things that can bring that awareness on if you're exploring, experiencing your emotions, expressing them? Like, what are some helpful tools that can help you to really realign with coming back into that I am consciousness, as opposed to becoming reactive straight away and getting, the trigger comes in, activation, and you're straight away reacting. How can you bring more space in between the trigger and the response?
Yeah. So one of the main practices that we do is called 100% emotions. Because it's almost like a fun game, like a theatrical game to start to lower your numbness to different emotions. Because it's when you can catch how the sensation is showing up, how it's starting to bubble, like when that little flame starts flickering, the sooner we notice that, then the less it becomes a bonfire. And for most people in society, their numbness is in general just set very, very high. This is a concept I learned from possibility management. It's amazing training I did beginning of the year. And the concept is around like humans, we're really pretty numb. Like say, I can use a perfect example, my father. He would wake up, maybe he misses the alarm. So there's some frustration, but he doesn't allow it. So he doesn't notice it. So that maybe goes to like 10%. Then maybe he's driving to work and someone cuts him up and it also annoys him, but he doesn't really let himself notice that he feels angry. Says already 40%. Gets to work, bad email from the boss, maybe that's 60. Then basically gets to like something happening around 80% where his numbness bar is set. And it could be something that's not even that big a deal, like dropping a pile of paper, but suddenly it becomes a huge explosion of like, and that feels like unsafety to those around them because they're like, why are you so angry at dropping some paper? But it's in reality because so much underneath that was not getting caught. So a lot of this work is like, okay, how can I notice what does shame feel like in my body? How can I notice what does fear feel like in my body? And to do that, we do a practice called 100% emotions. And you can find a song I like to work with 7 core emotions, not just the 4, like anger, sadness, fear, joy, disgust, excitement, and sexual excitement. You could probably add shame in there as well if you want to practice how that feels. But shame, we don't really regard as a core emotion. It's more a covering emotion that's guiding you to something deeper. And you find a song for every one of those. I can even I have a playlist for it where you can put it in the show notes.
That's beautiful.
You have a song, you can do 1 minute, 2 minutes, or 3 minutes, however long you feel. And for that whole time, you just go 100% into the expression of that emotion.
Wow.
And doing that practice, like we do it the first week with our online students, I do it at the retreats, you really notice where, oh, wow, I had no idea how hard it was for me to express fear. Wow. Okay. Oh, it's so easy for me to express disgust. That's interesting. Funny. And like every person's different. And then it's like a theatrical way of like bringing in the inner child, but also really starting to see like, where are my edges? Yes. It's great to do with kids also. I do this with like when I'm babysitting, things like this. It's so funny. That basically will just get you into a bit more clarity. And like my teacher is like, do that once a week. I'm like, even I don't do that once a week sometimes, but I'm giving sessions guiding people through emotions. But that is a really fun way to first notice which emotions you're more blocked with.
I love that.
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that because that's massive. I never heard about it before, and that's pretty unique. a pretty unique way to do it, and I feel like very fun and easy, like everybody can do it. It's not that complex. Again, simplicity, coming back to simplicity, I found very beautiful, especially if you can do it with kids as well. That's mean that's something easy that everybody literally can do it. Just put the song on and you just observe how does it feel.
I'll be doing it. I've got 3 daughters. He
has three kids, so we're gonna
sure.
test that and see straight away how it goes with the kids.
They're our biggest teachers, the kids.
Yes, they are.
Like in terms of emotional expression, I'm not teaching people anything new. I'm just reminding them how it was to be 3.
Exactly. I love that.
Wow.
I love that. That's powerful sentence itself. I want to ask you just a couple of questions more, and I don't know if you have more. You can go more. With kids, because in your content you talk like about kids as well, like how emotions start. For example, when you are a kid, right? I wanted to ask you, like, for the anger, which is, I know it's a core of your work, but also I know from my experience and Mark, kids' experience, I can see in one of them already the suppression of the anger coming up already. So I just want to ask you, how do you see it in kids that they're suppressing, for example, and what can you do to guide them and teach them that it's safe, for example, to express anger? Because we know what is going to happen when they're growing up if that not happen already when they are a child, because they're suppressing that already, and then it's going to be hard to feel anger when they're growing up. So what would you say about that, Ashley?
Yeah, so a couple points. So with emotional release, I never work on kids, funny enough. If they're under the age of 12, I always work on the mother. And then the relationship with the father, and then the mother and father's relationship together, and then maybe the kid. So there's always like a hierarchical way down. Because sometimes people ask me, like, will you work on my kid? I'm like, no, like they're probably mirroring something inside of yourself as the mother.
I love that.
So and second of all, so we're working with the concepts around developmental trauma and emotional release. So you can also, the book Eastern Body, Western Mind is amazing. It like talks through the different chakra energy centers and at what ages they're developing, what sort of occurrences can infringe, whether it feels like there's too much energy here or too little energy. So I find a lot with clients that around the ages of like 5, 6, 7, and this is when the 3rd chakra is starting to come online. And when there's grievances against the soul, the body here in terms of abuses, where where autonomy has been taken away, where they didn't get a choice in something, like divorce can happen at this age, where they're sent to school. And I mean, most kids are sent to school around 5 or 6. So actually we collectively as a whole, like society, have a trauma around being told to go from home with your mom where it's nice and fun to go sit in a classroom and start to conform to all these rules. That happens collectively, and the society is stuck at the 3rd chakra. Like we are stuck at the shadow sides of the power dynamics, and the ego is here, aggression is here. So like you see that in society a lot. We're really stuck there. We've not yet moved to the heart, which is what the love and light community want to do, but they're bypassing the lower chakras to try to get to the heart. They're going top down. So I would really, with clients, I look also like what's happened when they were younger, what happened around those ages. And I mean, I'm not going to pathologize Mark's kid, but it's probably maybe if one parent is exhibiting too much anger, then that child might be holding back to create balance in the relationship, in the family system. Like everything is always trying to harmonize it. So I also love like family constellation work and really trusting that like even how people come together in a system, that there's always going to be the light and the dark and the yin and the yang, and is always trying to find balance. And if one person is too much in the anger, then someone else has to hold the opposite pole. It's often children, because they're like the perfect unconscious mirror of what's not being processed. So when there's really angry children, then I know the parents are not expressing their anger as well.
Wow. Well, this is so powerful. Like literally what you say here and before, I love it. What you say, which is one of my biggest beliefs as well with kids. Like I can see like all the time so many parents complaining about the kids and sending kids to therapy when you are the one that need to go to therapy.
And you had experience because you were like kindergarten teaching, like over in Italy.
Yes.
So and also a lot of parents like that.
Absolutely, like experience that. But I really believe that kids are like, they are mirroring what's happening around them. Absolutely. So what you say before, like I don't work with kids below that age. I work with the parent. That sentence, if you want, this is your next content, because it's really powerful.
Yeah,
Very
I felt
powerful
that.
in this society, because how many times we see, you know, kids going to therapy at 7 or 8, like, you know, they are troubled kids, so they doing this, then doing this, when actually it's not them. They're just mirroring what's going on inside the house. So maybe the parents need to go to therapy, or the mom, or the dad, or both of them. And I think this is such an important thing.
Yeah, I love that.
I love that you say that. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably something, until I have a kid of my own, I can't authentically stand in that kind of content, just because it's
Of course.
I
Okay,
wouldn't.
I love that.
Yeah, it's really like, and I see it like, my two best friends now have had kids, and I really see them beautifully raising them, like really gentle parenting, but not pushover parenting.
Yeah.
Like really with
Yeah, of
redirectional, like not using the words no, like giving alternatives, giving possibilities for the
Yes.
kid. And they're so regulated. They're so relaxed, and the kid is so happy. And I'm like, that's what it means. Like, it actually, when parents do the work, and the kids actually can feel like that they're welcome, and that they're not shamed, and that they have autonomy, they can say yes and no, and that's actually respected. Like, as kids, like, the amount of times I was forced to like give weird uncles hugs because of it would make them feel bad, or you have to kiss all your relatives, and like all these micro boundary crossings that happen from even a young age, being forced to wear diapers, and then like being forced to use a pacifier. Like, you can really go to the early ages, sleep training, where these fragmentations happen that basically create the core wounds inside of us.
Beautiful.
And there is more work that will come with this for sure. Like, I'm really interested in all the topics I work with my clients, it's mostly from ages 12 and under. So, of course, if there's been big traumas happening, like death, accidents, divorces, things like this, then that's not happening below the age of 12. But there is a lot of the developmental core trauma happens below those ages. And,
Beautiful.
Yeah, and something that's coming to me as well actually now is like, in terms of the inner child working that you do, I know you touched on it a little bit, like, is that like a core part of your healing modalities and your training and things, like really focusing on the inner child? Because I know a lot of our studies, a lot of the trauma that's developed has come from the childhood.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, from suppressing emotions. Obviously, my experience of suppressing my anger, I was punished if I was, you know, expressing unwarranted emotions, you know, not healthy ones, you know, deemed by my parents. At the time, I was punished, so I suppressed my emotions. And I know from my healing work, a lot of the work that I've done is through like hypnosis and meditation and a lot of deep inner child work. Is that, I know you've touched on it actually, is that like a big core theme in your healing modalities? And like maybe what could be some other examples of the works that you do in regards to healing the inner child?
yeah, I mean, it's also really a buzzword, right? The inner child, like in the healing world. And I think with emotional release, we're really just creating dialogues with many fragmented parts. So it's not always such a perfect, clear picture, like, oh, I see them and I sense like how they look like, because a lot of meditation and talk therapy try to really go down the mind way of like, oh, they're wearing this is what they're wearing, and that's what they look like. And sometimes it's really just a very old feeling inside of the body.
Yeah.
So when something's coming up, it says it's in their heart, and we can be like, does this feel like yours or someone else's? And if it's their own, it's like, hey, how old is this? And they're like, oh, 6. Okay. There's something that's like, okay, what was happening at this point? Like, what is this feeling? Why is this feeling here? Who does it need? Oh, it's sadness. Why is it feeling sad? Like, more going down the dialoguing of the frequency and less of the story.
Yeah.
But when we do conversions, which would be like that itself is a conversion, but sometimes there is dialogues happening with other people and with our inner parts, which can be the inner child as well. And by dialoguing, we really mean speaking. That's also where I did inner child work so much in the previous years of like, I would write them a letter, or I put a picture of them on my altar and did meditation and tried to meet them down a beautiful forest path. But in reality, it was all staying in my head and it wasn't finding completion. And through the use of speaking, the vibration of the voice really completes loops. Like, that's why at the retreat we do aspecting, but they have to say it out loud and they have to direct it towards a person. And it has to be coming out through sounds, because that's actually making it real.
I love that.
And that's very challenging for people to do.
Oh yeah, I was already thinking about it. Like, if I have to do that with someone that, you know, I don't even know and is just present at the retreat, that's challenging. But I agree with that, because it's getting out of your body. like it's not just in the head when you're visualizing, like you're actually taking that out because you're talking. You're taking out things that you didn't say. Is so very powerful. Thank you for sharing
That's the name of the exercise is called Words Unsaid. So you nailed it.
So we need to go to Europe and do a retreat with Ashley.
Yeah, come to my retreat.
I think it's already happening. It's already happening. I'm from Italy, so we're actually planning to come to Europe next year, and so you can come to Italy with me. So there we go. So I already can see that happen. Do you want to say something?
I love where you're touching on the frequency as well, Ashley, and that's something I've been doing in my own practice. I've got like these mala beads, and I was talking to Sarah about like there's 108, and just going through this this beautiful experience of gratitude. And so for each bead, just speaking out loud, like what it is, the gratitude that you're grateful for in each and every moment, and 108 times every morning, getting into that now. And I definitely do feel like a resonance, a difference, like when you're actually speaking it as opposed to just internalizing it. And I guess that's the same as the thought process going on when you're in thoughts, when you're struggling with emotions or whatever. Like if you're keeping it inside, then you're suppressing it. But whereas the more that you can get it out, the more that you can have a safe space, a conversation. For me, it's always a conversation with Sarah or a good friend. The more that I express it, I find the more that I give space to it as well, and like allow it to come up and allow it to have its time. And then the emotion is no longer stored in the body. The emotion is actually, it's energy in motion. It's coming out of my body. So I love that you touched on the frequency.
It can also be just with yourself in the mirror. It can be like when I just drove 7 hours yesterday back from Germany, and I just did so much aspecting and dialoguing in the car.
Wow.
I was talking to parts of myself. I was talking to a past boyfriend who I needed to like say some things to and to let some anger out. And driving's great because it's such a safe space. Like, as long as you're like staying conscious of like the highway.
You are
not condemning like anger release on the steering wheel, guys. but there's really like those driving is really almost like EMDR sometimes. Like you're really in a trance if you're like a long time on the highway, moving in and out. And I find that that's a really great space also with some loud music and just like really letting some emotions come up to the surface. And so that's really like breathing, with breath, with sound, with facial expressions. Like this is all ways for the body to move through emotions. It doesn't always have to be a feeling. It doesn't have to always be like, the wave is coming up. It can be like, my lip is quivering right now. Okay, let me see. Maybe I can make that quiver a bit more. Like facial expression wants to come through here. And so, like I said, it really feels like theatrics sometimes with the work that we do, because it's sometimes you need to go more into expression to kind of find a balance. Like if you've gone from like a total shutdown, that's why going to places like retreats or to trainings can be helpful, because it shows you like, oh wow, that's where it's possible. I don't need to be in that frequency all the time. Here's the healthy balance for me in my life. But without knowing that possibility exists, like doing the haka with 20 women in a space, or yelling, or doing a group anger release or grief release and sadness, like those moments really help to like unlock new options.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And one thing I want to add before Sarah might want to say something is...
I have one last question for Ashley.
Yeah, is just your experience of the frequency, Ashley, because that's like a language that we often, myself and Sarah, use as well, like in just tuning into a frequency or emitting a certain frequency. Like, how do you feel like with focusing on the frequency, if that differs to, like, say, anger release and focusing more on the emotions? Like, is it the same thing, or is there like a difference in terms of like, I guess, focusing on the frequency? Do you sort of like have like your own practice, Ashley, in terms of that as well, like tuning into a frequency, or sort of how does that differ with the emotions? Yeah,
so the word we use is resonance.
Yeah.
So because I feel like all emotions have a particular wave that they're waving in and out. Like you're waving out an emotion, I'm waving in a certain emotion. Might not be the same one, might not be the same understanding. But we really train our students and ourselves on how to stay connected to resonance. Like, what am I picking up on right now? Sometimes I call it also like the bullshit detector. Like if someone's presenting to you with a smile, but you feel anger, you're like, okay, my body is telling me one thing and the external is telling me another thing. And tuning in of like, where is what's true with that, if anything can be actually true, but more so leading into dialogue. Like, okay, like, hey, like I'm noticing this is happening inside of my body. Doesn't mean it's true, but like I'm feeling an anger sensation in my body, but I don't feel it's mine necessarily. Like, are you actually feeling okay, or are you feeling a little angry right now? Like, yes, I didn't even notice I was feeling angry. So, resonance is more the phrase we use for it. Just because I feel like I try to use words that sometimes non-coaches can understand, and resonance, like people get that a bit from music, and they understand like because frequency I found like if I would go to a corporate office to talk about emotional release, I can't use those words because they're like, oh, it's woo woo, it's spiritual. And that was a great gift of having come from the corporate world of like working in the normal life, that I kind of get like how to talk about concepts that are a bit more airy fairy and then bring them back to earth. Because I feel like that is the next work. Like it's all well and good working in our field of people who understand what we do and they're bought in and they're fans. But how do I actually start to reach the more normal people who haven't yet perceived all of this?
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I love that.
So
I have one last question for you, Ashley, because many people that listen to this podcast are also like entrepreneur and they doing their own business and they are maybe in similar industry. Like you're working with a lot of people with a lot of energy. So how are you taking care of yourself? Like because working with emotions and moving through all the work that you do, because it's the same that we do as well in different contexts, but it's a lot of energy coming from your client as well. So how are you moving through your day and how are you taking care of you?
Yeah. Wow. This is the second time we tried to do this podcast because the first time I woke up and had lost my voice. So first of all, knowing when to say no and not the people pleaser me in the past maybe would have tried to do that podcast and then it would have been not this lovely conversation we're having today. So really understanding for myself like when to say yes and no is very helpful. I work a lot with my cycle, so I really understand like there's certain points of my month when I'm going to have lots of energy, and there's certain points where it's probably best to not schedule those sorts of things like parties or to big client days or podcasts when I have my period. Like it's just understanding how that works more in myself. But at the moment, I feel so regulated with my work because I'm not doing it by myself. And I think I'm also really enjoyed like observing both of you together and like seeing this like collective that you both have of like being in a partnership and doing this. And I'm working with 3 other colleagues in the Emotional Release Academy that we founded. And it means that I don't have to do the tasks I don't want to do. Because being entrepreneur fucking sucks. There's so many hats that you have to wear. Like you just want to be a healer, but you've got to be the marketer and the finance person and the budgeter and the strategy and like you've got to hold down all the admin and it's all the contracts. It's like it's impossible for one human. Like really, if you want to be in your field of expertise, which is to be present, to be regulated, to hold space. Then finding ways to either find collectives or if it's with friends or something where it means you don't have to take all the responsibility. I really think that has to be the future of entrepreneurship for healers. How it probably was in the olden days, like as a village and things like this. That's been a beautiful gift. Like I'm supported by 3 men. It's so healing for my nervous system to have 3 men reliably like helping, because that was my wounding from my upbringing that like men don't show up. So it's been a beautiful repatterning, isn't it?
Not the feeling.
So right now that's been the most regulating for me, and having a home I live in, because I was traveling for so much. And I will travel again actually from next week for a month, and I'm a bit like, oh, okay, I really have to take care to like have some space in the morning. And I still have the usual human temptations, like to want to get on my phone straight away in the morning. Of course. Like I watch too many reels, so I have an app that blocks me from going on Instagram in the evening, because otherwise I would just watch reels. So I'm just a regular old human that's got her own defense mechanisms and trying to navigate through them as well.
But thank you for sharing about the say no. I think in an entrepreneurship space, it's so important to not say yes to every opportunity. Sometimes we have to really say no, because maybe there is something, you have a retreat, for example, coming up, which is going to take a lot of energy for you and a lot of focus and learning to say no. Because when we are in business, we want to do everything and, have our voice out there, help as many people as possible. And then we get into that loop of say yes and then burnout, because burnout happens in business a lot. I want to ask you something, Ashley, before we close the podcast. when is your next retreat? So who is going to listen know when you're running your next retreat, if they are in Europe or not in Europe and they want to fly and come anyway.
Yeah.
So when is your next retreat and how the listener can find you? And of course, we're going to add below all your links and everything to find you.
Yeah, easy. You can find me on Instagram on my website, which we'll link. But my next Women's Anger Retreat is 26th to the 31st of October, 2025. I don't have any more scheduled for next year because my Emotional Release Academy, which is the facilitator training. So also if someone's listening to this, like I want to learn how to do this modality, our next cohort starts January 2026. It's a 6-month online training, and our in-person training will be in July in Portugal for the bodywork aspects. Yeah.
Sounds like it is aligning with the date we want to go in Europe.
Perfect. And yeah, because next year there'll be at least 2 of those trainings happening. So that's more of my focus right now. But the Women's Anger Retreat in particular is always it's my sweet spot. It's the highlight of my year. So. Yeah, amazing. Maybe it's a bit short notice for some of your people listening, unless it comes out soon. But
who knows?
Otherwise, for sessions and things like this, they can always reach out to me. And if not, I have a big network of students around the world, so it could be that someone is also local as well.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Ashley.
You, Ashley.
Really, it was
guys. I loved all these questions, and both of you together, like really beautiful pair.
Thank you. Yeah, we found each other, and we're really in alignment with our purpose and what we do to validate the experience of people that have been in narcissistic abusive relationship and receive that maybe they didn't receive along the journey, and give them a safe space to go there and feel it all and reclaim their life. That's what we really do. We are not much into the healing space, like the things that you do. We are more about like the life after the moment that you heal and you're going through your process. The next step is reclaiming your life and finally be the person that you want to be and have the life that you deserve after being in those abusive relationships, which you don't have that during those time you're there. So Ashley, thank you.
Thank you so much, Ashley.
You guys.
Really thank you.
Thank you. I'll start my morning.
Bye.
Ciao.